morning, y'all. It's like 2 a.m. in the morning. Can't really sleep, so I figured I didn't get this done yesterday, so I might as well get this done now. So, anyway, back to Luke chapter 10. Luke 10, verse 19 says, "Behold, I give unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you." And so basically Jesus is saying that, he's given us power over all the enemies that we face, and we could overcome the wicked with the Lord's help. And I truly believe that. I've seen it happen within my life. Like, some examples of my life is when I have nightmares. Like, okay, so I'm a horror buff fan, right? Like, I like, Michael Myers, Scream, Freddy, not so much Chucky, but, I like those horror movies. Not so much anymore, since I've kind of, how do I want to phrase this? Kind of, got back to church and started praying and reading the Bible. I've kind of went away from them. I mean, I still watch them every now and then, but I don't have the same kind of enjoyment as I used to have, And so every now and then I'll get like nightmares, and usually my nightmares involve Michael Myers. And so the other night I was just sleeping, and out of nowhere, like, usually I have these nightmares after I watch the movies. That's why I kind of also stopped watching the movies. But out of nowhere, I had this nightmare, right? So, and I don't know why, because I haven't watched any of those kind of movies for a long time. And so I woke up kind of scared, and so I prayed. I was like, "Hey, Lord, like, protect me, watch over me, take the fear away." And I started to feel calm, and I went back to sleep. So, I mean, I know he has an effect. I've felt it in my life. Also, fear for the future. It's easy to fear what could come, and when I think about it and get afraid for it, I pray, and that also helps. So, also illness in the body. When I'm feeling sick, I'll pray, like, please heal my body and take all the illness out, cast it all away, and it helps. So, I totally believe that the praying helps, and the Lord helps. You just have to believe, have faith. Also, further going into Luke, as Jesus is with the disciples and other people and talking and stuff, a lawyer is in the crowd, and the lawyer asks Jesus, like, "Well, how do you get eternal life?" And Jesus answers in Luke 10, verses 27 through 28, and Jesus says, and he answering said, "Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy strength, and with all thy mind, and thy neighbor as thyself." And he said unto him, "Thou hast answered right, this do, and thou shalt live." Ooh, I kind of messed that up, but "Thou hast answered right, do this, and thou shalt live." So most importantly is, the commandments. Love God, love thy neighbor, right? And so the lawyer then proceeds to ask Jesus, who is thy neighbor? And this is in Luke verse 29 through 37. Luke 10, verse 29 through 37. And Jesus then proceeded to tell a story about a man who was robbed, beaten, and left for dead. And he had several passers by that didn't help him. First there was a priest, and then there was another man, and they just kind of went on the other side of the street and, avoided this man that's badly beaten in need of help. And then a Samaritan came along, and this Samaritan showed the beaten man some compassion. And the Samaritan cleaned up the man, bandaged his wounds, and then brought him home to take care of him. And in parting ways, or brought him to an inn, and then in parting ways, the Samaritan gave the innkeeper 2 pence to further take care of him. And he also said that also give him whatever help he needs is, and it costs more than 2 pence, well, I'll come back and pay the rest. So he really took care of the man. And Jesus then told the lawyer to love his neighbor like that Samaritan. That showed mercy for this man. So, take care of one another and love one another. And so when I'm thinking about this story, the story makes me think of the homeless. We all see the homeless out with their signs begging for money, or anything for that matter, food sometimes, gas money, whatever, trying to get home. And I know a lot of people think, oh, well, they're just lying, they're scammers, they're just wanting money. Some of them could be, but I always feel guilty because I don't really carry cash on me, so I never have money to hand out with it. But if I do, I give it, right? Because, every little helps, and if they are telling the truth and all they do is need $20 for a tank of gas to finish getting home, well, then I want to be the one to help them out. Like, if it was me, I'd want someone to help me out, right? So I kind of do it because if it was me, I'd want someone to do it for me. So, and I figured that if they're lying, well, they'll get theirs in the end, right? Karma, right? So that's on them, that's not on me. Like, now, do I always give? No. Like I said, I feel guilty, but I don't always carry cash. Now, there was this one gentleman who was saying he needed gloves. Well, I happen to have 2 pairs of gloves at home, and I happened to be wearing one, and they were purple, and I quite liked them, but he said he needed gloves, so I just took the gloves off my hands, pulled over, and gave him gloves, and he said thank you and walked away. And I was like, well, okay. But then I saw him the next day still panhandling for gloves, and my gloves weren't to be seen. So I was like, that's interesting. Okay, I guess maybe he gave the gloves to his daughter. They were purple, I don't know. Anyway. So, you never know, but hey, I tried to help. I was doing my part, right? I also think of, when I think of this story, like incarcerated people, prisoners, people who just got out of jail. A lot of people see them as, like, I think they're treated like shit. And, I think everyone deserves a second chance, and yet some of them never get it because there's never some person to actually show compassion, and so I think that's something that society needs to change. I mean, yes, are there some people who don't deserve a second chance? Yes, but I think for a majority, a mistake was made. They went to prison, they did their time, served their sentence, and now they're out, and they just need a little help, a little foot in the door, and most people won't give them that, and so then what do? They go back to the life they know, the crime that they did, and they do it again, because why? There's nothing else for them to do. So I think we need to show a little compassion towards those people and help them out a little bit, but I understand also why people don't. There's always a fear there as well. So anyway, just my thoughts while I'm up and can't sleep. The rest of you, have a good day.